Hey y'all, Josie Joy from Josie Joy's Craft Nooks, and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be teaching you how to make these cute little amigurumi, crocheted amigurumi octopus. They are my own pattern, and I have a large, medium, and small. Today we will be doing the medium, but I will, to the best of my ability, also give you the sizes for the small and the large. So let's get started. First, we are going to go over the tools and materials we will be needing. So you will need some chenille yarn. I am using loops and threads from Michaels. And this is just a pretty teal or aqua. You can use any type of yarn as long as it's like a chenille velvet yarn. Any brand, you can even use the brand from Dollar Tree. This is a number 6 bulky. And then I am using another chenille that's thinner, that's a little bit thinner for the eyes. I got this one at Hobby Lobby. And you do not want to use for the eyes a thread or a smaller weight yarn like a number 4. And the reason you don't is because this is such a thick yarn that it won't show up, the eyes won't show up. So you have to use another chenille black yarn to do the eyes as well. Then next, I am using a number 5H hook. Now the yarn wrap calls for a size 8, but you do not want to use that because then the stitches will be too loose and you will see the stuffing through them. So in order to have this nice, even put together stitches, firm stitches, you want to use a 5mm hook. Next, you will want a row counter especially if you are a novice and you have difficulties counting your rows. This will be helpful to know where you're at and which row you are on. Of course, you will need a stitch marker because we will be working in the round instead of joining and chaining one. I use these. I also sometimes make my own stitch markers out of beads, but you can use anything. When I first started, I used bobby pins because I had a ton of bobby pins. You can also use yarn. I've seen people use yarn, so you don't have to get these if you don't want. I like these because they clasp like that, and so they don't fall out. When I was using bobby pins, they would always fall out all the time. Then of course you need a tapestry needle, and this is to sew in the ends and to sew the bottom of the octopus on. And then of course scissors. This is to just cut the yarn. And then lastly, you will need some polyfill. Some sort of stuffing. This is actually from a pillow. I don't buy polyfill because it's extremely expensive. It's actually cheaper to just go to Walmart and buy a pillow and just use the stuffing from that than to buy a thing of polyfill. You get more stuffing from that. I've also seen people use scrap yarn and use that for stuffing, so whatever you prefer. Okay. So now let's get started. We will use the magic ring, and if you're a beginner and are struggling with the magic ring, I will later do an in-depth video on how to do a magic ring. So keep an eye out for that. But for right now, I will try to go slowly and you can just try to follow along. Now keep in mind, when you are working with the chenille yarn, you do not want to do your magic ring really tight because then you will not be able to pull this through. It will get caught and it will the end will just snap. So when you are working with, when you look at the chenille yarn, you can actually see that it's starting to split a little bit, which will cause problems when I'm working the magic ring. So I'm just going to cut that. So you want to work the magic ring really loosely. So watch me closely and watch how I do the magic ring. Oh, sorry, messed up. And that's it. Now, as I work the 6 single crochets in this loop, I will hold the loop with my left hand or my non-dominant hand. And when you work the single crochets into the magic loop, you will want to work over your yarn end, because if you do not, you will not be able to pull the circle closed. So, and again, you want to work these, for this round, these single crochet very loosely, or you will not be able to pull the circle closed. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now you take your yarn end and you just pull it closed like that. Okay. And now you see that the ring is closed. Then you put your stitch marker in the last stitch you created, just so you know where your round ends. In round 2, you will do an increase in every stitch around. So that is 2 stitches in every stitch. And you will have 12 single crochets in each by the time you are done with this round. So this is the first stitch. So you will go through both loops, round over, 1. That is 1 single crochet. You will go in that same stitch, 2. You'll go into the next stitch, 3. You'll go into the same stitch, 4. You'll go into the next stitch, 5. You'll go into the same stitch, 6. You will go into the next stitch, 7. You will go into the same stitch, 8. You will go into the next stitch, 9. Same stitch, 10. Take out your stitch marker, and you'll go into the next stitch, 11, and you will go into the same stitch, 12. Now put your stitch marker back. So in round 3, you will do 1 single crochet and then an increase in the second stitch. 1 single crochet, increase, 1 single crochet, increase, all the way around. And you will have a total of 18 single crochet by the time you are done with this round. So 1 single crochet in that stitch, go into the next, 2, 1 and 2. Go into the next stitch, 1, and then go into the second stitch, 1, and a second and another stitch in that one, and 2. Do that all the way around, and I will see you back here when at the end of the round. We are back, and for the last stitch, just 2 single crochet in that same stitch, and put a stitch marker in there. Okay, so if you are doing the small octopus, that is where you will stop for the increase rounds. But we are doing the medium, and so we will do one more increase round. And so you will be doing 2 single crochet, 1, 2, and then an increase in the third stitch. And you will do that all the way around, that sequence all the way around, and you will have a grand total of 24 stitches when you are finished. So 1 in the first stitch, 1 in the second stitch, and an increase in the third stitch. So 1, and then back into that stitch, 2. And again, 1 in the first stitch, 2 in the second stitch, and then an increase in the third stitch, 1, 2. And you will continue doing that sequence all the way around and have 24 stitches by the time you are done. See you back at the beginning of the round. Okay, we are back at the end, and you will take your stitch marker out and do 2 single crochets in that last stitch. And you'll notice that it kind of puffs up here. That is just the nature of this this velvet yarn, but when you put the stuffing in it, it will make it lay flat. So this is the last increase round for the medium octopus. Now, if you want to do the large octopus, you will actually do one more increase round. And that is, you will do one single crochet in the next 3 stitches, and then you will do an increase in the 4th stitch. So 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2. And you will do that all the way around, and you will have 30 stitches by the end of that round if you want to do the large octopus. But we will stop here because we are doing the medium octopus. And now this is where we start the rounding of the head, and so we will be doing one single crochet in each stitch around for the next 4 rounds. So from round 5 to 8 is just one single crochet all the way around. Now, if you're doing the small octopus, you will do it only for 3 rounds. And if you're doing the large octopus, you will be doing single crochets all the way around for 5 rounds. But this one, because we're only doing the medium, we will be doing it for 4 rounds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And I will see you back here when we're done with all 4 rows. Okay, now we are back at the end of my 4th round. And now we take the stitch marker out and do 1 single crochet in that last stitch. Now we are going to start the tentacles. So the next stitch, we are going to slip stitch in the front loop, and we will be working in the front loops only of this round. Now, normally we work through both loops. So if you go right here and you see this, I'll hold it up to the camera. There's 2 loops on the hook. Well, because we will be working only through the front loops, we will take, let me see here, that loop right there is what we will be taking. And you will yarn over and do a slip stitch. Okay, and now we will be, for the medium size, we will be chaining up 7. So for the medium size, you chain up 7. For the small size, you chain up 5. And for the big size, you chain up 9. And then you skip that first stitch right there. And you do 2 single crochets in the second chain. Maybe if I can get it. 1 and 2. And you do 2 single crochets all the way around. And so for this, you should have 12 single crochets all the way around. And you do the tentacles, no matter which size the octopus is, the same exact way. The only difference is the amount you chain. So like I said, for the large octopus, you'll chain 9, which means you should have 16 single crochets if you do 2 single crochets in each. For the medium, you'll chain 7. No, I did that wrong. So you'll chain 9, 16. And then this one you'll chain 7, which means you should have 12. And then for the small, you'll chain 5, which means you will have 8 single crochets. Sorry, I had to do the math in my head there for a moment. But you still do it in the same way. You just chain and do 2 single crochets in each chain all the way down. Okay. And now once again, when you get down here, You will go to the next stitch and you will go through the front loop only, right there, and you will slip stitch like so. And then you will go over to the next chain and you will slip stitch again, and then you will chain 7. And then you'll skip the first chain and do 2 single crochets in each chain all the way down. And then when you get to the bottom, once again, you'll slip stitch into the bottom and slip stitch into the next. Once again, taking the front loops only. And that is literally how you work the tentacles, and you will do that all the way around. For the medium size, you should have 12 tentacles when you're done. For the large size, you should have 15 tentacles. And for the small size, you should have 9. And that is literally all there is to it. And I will see you back here when my tentacles are complete. Now I just finished up my last tentacle. And we are going to go into that next loop in the front loop and slip stitch. And we are going to fasten off with our scissors. Okay, the head and the body is done. Now we are going to do the bottom of the octopus. So once again, you are going to do a magic ring. Remember to work the magic ring very loosely. With this yarn. Do 6 single crochets in the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Pull the magic ring tight. Put the stitch marker in your last stitch. Round 2 is an increase round, and like with the body, we are going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch around, and you should have a grand total of 12 single crochets when you're done. So in here, the first stitch through both loops, and working over your yarn end, do 1, go on the same stitch and do 2. Go into the next stitch and do 3, same stitch and do 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Take your stitch marker out. 11, 12. Okay. Put your stitch marker back in. For round 3 is another increase round. And if you're doing the small octopus, this is your last round. So you do 1 single crochet in the first stitch, an increase in the second stitch. 1 increase, 1 increase, all the way around, and you should have a grand total of 18 single crochets. So 1 in that stitch, increase in the next. So 1, 2, 1, in the next stitch, and an increase in the next stitch. So 1 and 2. One more time. 1 in the next stitch and an increase in the next stitch. So 1, 2. Okay. Continue that all the way around and I will see you back here. Okay, now this is our last stitch. We will be doing 2 single crochets in that stitch. So 1 and 2. Remember, if you're doing the little octopus, this will be your last single crochet or your last round. But we are doing the medium, so we will be doing one more round. So this one, you will be doing one single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then an increase in the 3rd stitch. 1 in the next 2, an increase in the 3rd stitch. 1 in the next 2, and an increase in the 3rd stitch. All the way around, and you should have 24 single crochet. So 1 in the 1st stitch, 1 in the 2nd stitch, 2 in the 3rd stitch. So 1, and again in that same stitch, and 2. 1 in the 1st stitch, 1 in the next stitch, 1 in the next stitch, and 2 in that next stitch. 1, again, go into the same stitch, and 2. And do this all the way around. You should have 24 single crochet. And I will meet you back here. Okay, I am back at the beginning again. So I will take out my stitch marker. And I will put 2 single crochets into in that last stitch. Okay. So if you are doing the large octopus, you will do one more increase round. And that is, you will do a single crochet, 1 single crochet in that stitch, and that stitch. So the next 3 stitches, an increase round in the 4th stitch. So single crochet in the next 3, increase round in the 4th. Single crochet in the next 3, increase round in the 4th. And you will have a total of 30 stitches. But because we are doing the medium size, we will finish here. So you will go into the next stitch and slip stitch, and you will fasten off. Leave a good decent size tail to sew the bottom on and pull through. And what you will want is that this should be the same size as the bottom of the octopus. So now we will take the head and we will do the eyes. So I have to find the end of this yarn first. Where's the end of this? Here it is. Okay, so you will take your needle and you will thread your needle like that. And for the medium size, you will go about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Between rounds 5 and 6. Yeah, you'll go between about rounds 5 and 6. Like that. And then you will go over 1. And I always like to cut this yarn so it doesn't get in my way. Okay. Then you will go over 1, like so. And I don't pull this part all the way through. And then you will go down 1 in the middle. So directly down 1. And you want it to be in this middle, in the middle. Because you went over, you have the one stitch that you skipped right there. You want to be directly in the middle, and you want to bring this loop over your needle, and then you want to pull tight. So that will kind of bring the eyes down like he's closing his eyes. And then you want to wrap this yarn over the loop that's on the hook, that's on there, and go into that same stitch and pull like that. And you will go about 3 or 4 stitches over between rows 5 and 6 and do the same process. Go 1 stitch over. Don't pull it all the way through. Go 1 stitch down in between the stitch. Yarn that loop over your hook and bring it through. Go into the same stitch that you just came up and pull tight like that, and you just created the eyes. And now you will tie these in. Not these in. You will not see this because this will be in the octopus. Now you can use safety eyes. I don't because it's chunky yarn and I don't buy the really big ones. I buy the 10 millimeter ones for my dolls, but you can use them. I would not use them for if this is going to be for a child that is under the age of 3 though, because the safety eyes could fall out and it's a choking hazard. Then you take your stuffing, and you take quite a bit of stuffing, and you stuff the head. Like so. Okay. We are almost done with this octopus. Okay, and then you take the bottom of your octopus and you thread it. And this is the bottom of your octopus, but this is the bottom of it. You want this part to be inside the octopus, like so. And now remember all the loops, when we did the tentacles, we worked in the front loops. Well, all the back loops are now exposed and left unworked. We did that so that when we came to sew the bottom of the octopus on, we would have some loops to be able to sew it on with. So you grab the loops that are unworked, and then you grab the back loop that is the back loop of the bottom, and you do a whip stitch. So what a whip stitch is you take your needle and you take your the loop that is unworked, and you take the back loop of the butt and you pull it through, and you do that. You just, it's almost like, and that's how you do it. You don't, like a normal sewing is you go through one way and then you go back the other way. You go one way. You're not doing this. You're going the same way all the way around. You're taking the back loop of the octopus head and the back loop of the bottom and pulling tight. And that is all you are doing. And you will do this all the way around. And I will see you when you are done. I have finished sewing it all the way around, and so now the last thing to do is just to sew in the ends, and you should only have 2 ends. So I'm just going to sew this back and forth a few times to secure it. That, and then I'm going to bring it through the top of the head. Like so, and cut. And then same with this end. And then put it through the head. And cut it off. There you go. Congratulations, you made the octopus. Now if if you like this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification button to get all notifications. And I'll see you back next week. Thank you.